Wow. I'm deeply impressed. I see so many faces. Thank you very much for coming. Dear jewelry artists, dear jewelry enthusiasts, and of course, Sigurd, thank you so much for coming. We all are very pleased that you have come to Munich once again with the idea of finding out more about your universe of ideas and sources of inspiration that make your work so unique in the world of contemporary jewelry. And to make it very short, before I ask you to swap the place with me, I would like to take this opportunity to expressly thank the Christoph and Ursula Engelhorn Foundation, which supports the jewelry lectures in our house in a fantastic way since some years. And now it's up to you, Sigurd.
Okay, guys, are you feeling comfortable? Thank you all for coming. This lecture is about a little bit about how I and where I get my inspiration from. And it's not so much about the piece itself, it's more about, how should I say, how I think. Yeah, and I think we're going to have some fun, I hope. So be prepared. I will start, I had my education, a little odd education from the Goldsmith School in Schoonhoven. It's a Dutch technical school, which is in a very small town, midden in the Netherlands. And I think I spent 5 years, almost 5 years there, and then I was kicked out of this school because I was really a bad student. But I managed to make some of very classical pieces. I think, can you see? Maybe I should stay here. You can see this is a very Scandinavian looking piece. It's in silver, and it's one of my first really design. I did all by myself. Normally you had to make pieces from drawings, which is included in a sort of program. The technical staff had made some drawings, and we students had to make them, right? It's very, how do you say, technical, yeah. So when I was finishing this school, I got an apprenticeship in a stamp factory in Amsterdam. And it's called Posthumous Stamp Factory. And there I made a lot of the official stamps for the Dutch government. You can see there are some on the right, up on the right is stamps for the meat when they are, how do you say, when the meat is okay, you stamp it, right? Yeah, and there's a lot of stuff. This is where I work now. This is the Norwegian, NRK stands for Norwegian Broadcasting Company. It's the official broadcasting company in Norway. They make radio, they do the radio and television. And I was so lucky to start there as an engraver. I made all these buttons for the sound equipment and the TV equipment. And what is important is, because of this job, I must admit I cannot make a living of making jewelry. So I have to have another job. So this is my hobby, and the jewelry is my work. So I'm very lucky because this job makes me the full freedom. I can make whatever I want to do. I don't need to sell anything. And that is so fantastic. 80% of what you see upstairs in the collection is my own. I don't need to sell them. So I'm very lucky. Through this company, I can make everything what I want. This is where I live. I live on a peninsula island from outside Oslo. So I go by the ferry every morning. This is in the winter time. You see how beautiful it is. So I'm very lucky. And this is a part of my studio. To have a good studio is essential to make the good pieces. If you don't have a good environment around you, you don't make good pieces. That is my impression. So where do I get my inspiration from? It's like this bicycle, for instance. I saw this in Amsterdam. And it triggers my mind, and I'm asking myself, how did this person this person think? What was the meaning about this bicycle? Does it work? I found it on the street. And this kind of thing triggers my curiosity and started my mind to think about what I'm going to make. You see? This piece is, in a way, very essential to how I work, because it's about patient. I made all these pieces to get one good one. So it's about 125 needle, because you have to bend it in one turn. And to make the perfect form, I had to go through 125. So it's about patient, right? And I show you this piece because this is this photo. This is used to be my gallery owner, Paul Deré. He's wearing a very beautiful piece by Otto Kunstler. He is here today. And to sell your pieces, you need a gallery. If you don't have a gallery, it's very difficult to promote your stuff. And I was very lucky. After tried 7 times to get into this gallery, I finally got in. And this is the gallery's last place in Amsterdam. And it's very important how they promote the contemporary jewelry art, I think. They did a fantastic job. So this is one of my last exhibitions in that gallery. And through that gallery, a lot of some pieces that sold to private institution collectors, and they did enormous promoting my stuff. Before, I used to carve and make the pieces. I'm just showing this as an example. This is all hand carved, and I will come back to them, because I found out later I didn't need to carve them anymore, because all the material I was looking for was out in the nature, and so you will see later. I always try to challenge myself, and this is a piece I made in 1990, and I took it up and made it in 1922, I think it was. Petra, you have to correct me if it's wrong. But I was challenging myself, try to make the simplest brooch you could wear. And this is the golden needle. And later I started to make carrying devices. It means that it's an instrument or a device carrying a certain kind of material. In this case, it's carrying water inside this stainless steel container. And water has always been carried by human all the time in all ages, because it's essential for life, right? So here we go. This was a short introduction. So this is where I get my inspiration from. Can you see this now? I will start with the nature. It's about, I have to look, 39% of where I get my inspiration is from the nature. Like the ostrich egg, which it's so beautiful, the form is so beautiful, you don't have to carve, you don't have to make it, it's there. And I wanted to make a device that could carry this ostrich egg or the other eggs. But at the same time, the egg is very fragile, so sometimes it breaks and it needs to be changed with a new one, right? So the whole construction of the carrying device is also about changing the material. You see, it has in a way sort of function. But that is not the main issue for me. It also can be looked at as an object in space itself. Sponge. I will just show you some examples. Nautilus ring. As you see, I tried not to interfere too much of drilling, sawing. I like to keep the material as how do you say, as the original shape as possible. This is interesting because this is stones from the human body. It's my mother's gallstone. It was removed in 1963, I think it was. And I managed to put them into a device, a brooch. And now it's in the collection of the National Museum in Stockholm. And when I told my mother, she was very proud that her gallstones was in the museum. And I talked to the King of Sweden. I managed to sneak into the castle. I met him. And then I said, my mother's gallstone is in that museum. And he was really impressed. A cactus spike, where the cactus spike is the pin, the attachment. Cinnamon stick. I mean, this all kind of material is not normal what you have in the jewelry. I mean, this is very odd material in a way. And very often it comes in these boxes or wooden cases, because I think it's important that you keep it. When you're not wearing it or not showing it in a place, you will have it in this box. And it's fragile, so you can pick it out and put it on, and then you put it back again. It's like, no, not a Japanese ceremony, but it will be sort of a personal ceremony when you take it out. And again, I mean, a very stupid thing to put into a jewelry piece. It's like kitschy Christmas stuff, which you see everywhere. But I think the nature is so beautiful, how it's constructed. And I had to put it into a piece of jewelry. And of course, I was in China, up in the Gobi Desert, and I found this camel shit. And people said to me, you cannot put a shit in a piece of jewelry. Yeah, but it's so beautiful. It's made from the camel. And it's fantastic. And it's 18-karat gold pins, which is holding. So the gold meets the shit in a way. And it's, Here is a spike from a guinea pig, which I found in the zoo in Central Park in New York. So again, the needle is from the nature and not made by me. You see, it can work, but you have to be patient again, and you have to be it has to be very fragile to put it on. So the next thing where I get my inspiration is from everyday life. You have this sink drain pit where all the dirt goes through, and it can be coming into a nice piece of jewelry which you can wear. A Dutch piece of cheese. And of course, my comment on the camé jewelry. You know, camé jewelry is very common in the Western world. And this is a hotel soap from the 50s. And it just said it, this is the camé, you have to use it. I mean, it's a soap from a hotel. And it now belongs to the Neue Sammlung. And sometimes you can have a political name on your shirt, or a political badge, or even sometimes you have a logo which gives you a certain kind of, you can open it, and because I'm working in the broadcasting company, it gives me a certain kind of, how do you say, privilege. I get some percent when I buy material, so I can just open it. But sometimes they also said, oh, you are working in this broadcasting company, they make all these bad TVs, and then I can close it again, and nobody sees, you know. Or a balloon. Or an old shoe sole, which I have found on the street. And the interesting part about this one is that it is shaped by the people who worn it, but they don't know it. When you are walking, it gets, after using over the years, it gets in a very nice shape. And here is some old China porcelain. It's interesting because they send a picture of a lot of cracked porcelain, and you have to pick out the pieces which you wanted to make some pieces of jewelry. It was a project in China. And I picked out some pieces, and yeah, it can be broken china as well, you know? So now we come to the science and the technology. This is the pacemaker of one of my clients of collectors. It used to be in the mother of this collector, and she, by wearing it, it always reminds her about her mother. So I think it's a very personal, a very nice piece. And I managed to reload the battery, and when you touch it, the light goes on. Here is another carrying device for a light bulb. It can actually give you light. So yeah, this is one of my first pieces I made in this series. And again, it comes in a nice box. This is very interesting because this was an assignment from a project from Otto Kunstli, and he curated the exhibition in the Bayerisch Kunstverein, I think it was. And he invited 265, 68 artists around the world who had to make a certain kind of pin after a certain kind of measurement. And the theme was micro, mega. I mean, the small, the big. So my idea was to make a pin with a very small fly wing inside through a magnifying glass so it grows big. And I attached it on a fluorescent background. And I had this idea because it was very beautiful displayed in this gallery. And when they closed the gallery, I thought then only my pin was glowing and all the rest was in the dark. So yeah, I don't know if it worked, but that was my idea. It was a very nice project to be part of. You can see? Yeah. Again, a magnifying glass ring with a small diamond, and when you look through the magnifying glass, the diamond ring becomes very big, or the diamond becomes very big. And again, if you have a logo on your shirt you want to express, you can do it by doing this magnifying glass. Or it can be even a spot or a hole on your shirt. I mean, this is also interesting because this was, it's strange in the jewelry world. You get an assignment and you have to make a jewelry piece for a marble statue in Manchester Town Hall at all. And they picked out this Joel who made this law of energy, and I made this fan necklace for this piece. Jewelry, yeah. Oh, yeah. Now we get to the inspiration from the fine art. This is one of, I mean, there are many artists who had inspired it, but I have to pick out a few. And this is Ponomarenko. He is, how do you say, he is working, he makes pieces about dreaming of flying in a sort, he has a dream, and you actually can, some of the machines are really working. But if you ask me, I wouldn't dare to sit in them. But they are fantastic pieces. This is a rucksack which you can put on your back and you will be flying along. I have never seen it work, but it looks like it's going to work. Or this fantastic balloon ship. And the other guy is Alexander Calder, which you of course know very well. And he also, his mobility inspired me a lot. You will see it later, I come back to that. And the way he is making this thread stuff by just bending simple wire and it becomes alive. I mean, fantastic. The next one is architecture and design, and I must say, a lot of pieces or a lot of things that I'm inspired by it goes nature, design, it can be both. I mean, I just have to do a little bit pedagogic so you can understand. And one of the inspiration I got from the style, this is Gerhard Rietveld, and he made this chair, and these colors will always come back to me in the jewelry pieces. The primary colors of red, yellow, and blue. I mean, this is when I finished school in Holland, and I still use the same colors. And it came to me when I saw this big style exhibition at the Stedelijk Museum in Amsterdam. So it has been very important to me. Oh yeah, this is also from a telephone, where you are hearing. And this is Jean Heiber, and the funny thing, I have met this design man. He's actually a painter. And one of the telephone is here in the collection in the museum. So I'm very proud to see he's a Norwegian painter, and he designed this telephone. It's fantastic. He was a friend of my grandmother. That's why I met him. Inspired by the Triumph Arc de France in Paris. And I can say I'm a little bit naughty. I take other design from other people. And this is the kitschy, how do you say, squeezer, fruit squeezer, lemon squeezer, from Philip Stark, which I cut off the legs, and because it's a very beautiful form. But I think it is more interesting to put into a piece of jewelry than the function of a squeezer. So that is my opinion. Now we come to the contemporary jewelry art. It's only 2% of where I get my inspiration from is from the jewelry world. And there are a few. So I want to show you this piece, because I remember when I saw this piece by Otto Künzli, and I saw it really made me, how do you say, to be where I am today. When I saw this piece and some other pieces of Otto and other artists from that time, they really showed me that jewelry doesn't need to be gold and silver, it can be something else. And this piece in particular is, I mean, the shape is so beautiful, it has everything. It has the content, it has the function, and it has the form and the material. And I wish it was me who invented this beautiful piece. So another artist is a student of Otto Künzli, and his work is, I find it very interesting. Volker Antrops. So that was the jewelry thing. And then we have the cultural input. I mean, I listen a lot to music, I read books, I see movies. This is just a very short selection of what I can get my inspiration from. So now we're going over to some other stuff. Sometimes I make other stuff. I've been working for, no, I'm not working, but I do a project from a Dutch company, Steinbesser. They make cutlery for special event dinners. You design or you make a spoon or fork or plates, and then people pay to come to this dinner, and then they can buy the piece, the cutlery on the, yeah, how do you say? Yeah, the things. So this is a spoon, a soup spoon for fish soup, and then you still have the shrimp will always stay in the spoon, so you get a little bit taste of the shrimp. It's made in silver and pine wood, or this is silver, yeah. Or it can be a Gillette shaver, which is turned into a spoon, and you can change them. It depends on what kind of soup or meal you are eating. This is an assignment for the Norwegian representation hall for the Norwegian government. I was asked to make a wall clock in the press center. It's a very important place where people from around the world come, and they will meet the press. And of course, making a wall clock in a press center, where it has to be quite silent. So my idea was to put the cuckoo, still it is in its egg, and it comes out every hour. If you are patient enough, you can wait for it upstairs in the exhibition. But it's nice, and it doesn't make any sound. This is another clock I made for a restaurant, the Crane restaurant in Oslo. I managed to get this crane, which was taxidermied in '68. Now it's not allowed to take them anymore. It's protected. But it has been laying in a freezer for a long time. So I made this wall clock for this restaurant. And again, back to color, you see, this is in a canteen of a hospital in Trondheim, mid-Norway, where they have this nerve center, where they have this brain operations and everything, and they need to calm and to have a good environment. And it's They'd go around by the air in the room. And this is another timepiece. It's a clock, and it's clinging in this wine glass on the top every hour. It belongs to the Lillehammer Fine Art Museum. Yeah, I have fun with myself. I make some stuff from my catalog. And also was asked to make some designs for a silverware firm in Oslo, and they wanted me to make a timeless design. And I came up with them because you have seen in the exhibition upstairs that there is this shape which I used to carve, and there is my inspiration. People now use my jewelry pieces for record covers, for music. I'm honored, I think, that they like that. This is interesting because now it's about, exhibiting the pieces. And the piece on the right, this is from the Victoria and Albert Museum. And this piece is mine. And the funny thing is that this piece, as you can see, it's inside a glass box. And there was this guard sitting there, and I asked him, why is that piece in a glass box? Oh, he said, it has to be because it vapors a certain kind of air which oxidized the whole jewelry collection. So they had to put it into a glass box. And I said, wow, my piece can destroy all the jewelry in the whole collection. But it's funny they exhibit in this collection. Yeah, I mean, I'm lucky to exhibit abroad. This is in Portugal and in Bangkok. Yeah. This is an exhibition we did here during the Jewelry Week in Munich with 5 people from Norway and 5 artists from Munich. And this is in Vigelandsmuseet in Oslo and the Villa Stuck here in Munich. We made all the display and we had to bring them to Munich. Yeah. This is my exhibition in Bergen Kunsthall, Art Hall. Oh. And I exhibited 10 of these water jewelry, which contains water. I had an exhibition at Lillehammer Fine Art Museum. It's a very big museum, not as big as this. I always make a model of the place where I'm going to exhibit. So this, I made the showcases, everything, so I can see. And this is how it looks when it's in the museum. This is the museum here. I didn't need to make the model. They had a beautiful model, so I just could place my showcases. Yes. There are some pieces from the new pieces where I'm looking at the void in the boxes, what happens to the boxes when the content is gone. And I think that's for me, it's triggered something that I can, get inspiration from. And some examples. Yes, the last gallstone from my mother. And I was lucky in a way, because when I was here setting up my exhibition, my sister-in-law, my wife's sister, she had to go to the hospital to remove her gallbladder here in Munich when we were setting up the exhibition. So finally I got some new gallstones which I can use, because they are very rare, I can tell you. Okay, I hope I have told you about a little bit of my inspiration. It's about, I mean, the stories behind, and yeah, I hope you get a very impression of what I've been talking about, a little bit at least. So thank you very much for coming. Any questions? Yeah. Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much for this interesting, very fast lecture.
Yeah,
I learned a lot. I heard some stories for the very first time, but I think there was something missing.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah,
okay.
some eggs. How is it with the eggs in
Yeah.
your work?
Yeah. Eggs is, it's, I mean, the eggs is about fragility, it's birth, it has everything in the material. And of course, the egg, what I told you, it's the perfect form.
Absolutely, and you did these incredible rings, which are so close to ideas of flying, of balloons, and...
Yeah, when I see the eggs now again, I see, oh yeah, the inspiration from the balloon trips they had on in the beginning of the 19th century. Of course, I mean, I forgot.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
And we have Otto Künzli here. I would like to ask Otto, does the pin works, or did the pin work in the exhibition with the fluorescent behind the fly? Sigurd did the pin for your Micromegas exhibition. And the backside of the pin is
Did it glow in the dark?
Yeah. Did it work in the exhibition? Do you know it?
I mean, in the sense of, I mean, not...
Oh, there was some... No.
Or if it
There was a fluor...
Because, you know, Otto, there was this fluorescent background. And I had the idea, when you turn off the light in the Bayerische Kunstverein, because the light has been staying all on the pieces, and when you turn off the light...
all I can tell you that with 230
Yeah.
traveling around, this exhibition was in the beginning not meant to travel. And, but at the end, to my own surprise, I was for 3 years busy traveling with this exhibition around the world. It was in America, it was in Australia in 2 venues, it was in Japan, it was in Italy. A lot of disasters and problems with the custom, because there were certain pins with a little ring from fly, for instance. So the custom was very curious if this is an endangered species or not. So, but all these pins made it around the globe and back to the makers or in the museum here. And so all these pins worked very well and each of them in their own way and right. So it was never up to me to say this pin worked better or not or whatever.
This was not the question. I asked because of the fluorescence color in the background.
Yes, but I never. But I never looked at this exhibition by night.
No. Unfortunately.
Oh, you missed something.
That was the only point I missed.
Maybe there are other questions from you?
Yes, Sigurd, we talked about that already, but due to the situation here and we are in a museum, I want to ask you again, what you like more, you seeing your pieces in an exhibition, or seeing your pieces are worn on people?
It's a very good question. I think it's always scary when I meet collectors and they wear my piece. In a way, I get very honored, and I'm very afraid that it's going to be break, because it's a very fragile pieces. And I prefer to see my pieces like it's in the museum.
Thank you. And maybe another question? Oh, yeah.
Hello. I was wondering about the creative process with the pieces. There's many different kind of ways of approaching a work, and I was wondering in your case if maybe just 2 examples, maybe you approach it more in a planned way, or if you already have an idea and you try to find the goal, how to achieve it, or if you would play and let the thing happen and create itself by the, how do you say, the way it goes, and be excited about the result. Maybe there's other ways you might work in the process, but I would be interested in the way you like it the best.
Yeah, it's always, that's the difficult thing about being an artist. When do you get the good ideas? I mean, like me, I don't plan any exhibitions, really. I don't have any exhibitions. Like, for instance, this exhibition upstairs. It was planned quite a long time ahead. And I had some new pieces in this exhibition. But when I just go to my studio, I start to use my hard disk here, and then I start to create. A lot of pieces will never see its life. I made them all finished, and then I see them, and then it doesn't work, and then I throw them away, actually. So it's about sitting in my studio and making stuff, and I don't need to have any exhibition ahead. It comes from itself, I think. But I have to be in my studio. I cannot have a work assignment abroad to come and work in a visit studio or something. Doesn't work. I have to be in my own studio. It's odd, but that's how it is. And it's by just being in the studio and working, then the ideas are coming. Yeah, did I answer? Okay.
So I think if there are no more...
So, thank you very much, first of all, for this inspiring lecture. And it's exactly about inspiration I would like to ask you, but probably a difficult question. What happens when you say, I got inspired in the very first moment? Especially when you work with an egg, you have seen an egg before probably. But in this moment, what happened when you got the idea or whatever?
Yeah, but I think it's because when I have collected the material in my studio, I'm looking at the shape of the material, the function of the material, and then I start, because I really get inspired to challenge myself to make a sort of construction, what I said before, to hold the material in a way. So, and also it will be possible not to interfere so much. So actually it has to not to be glued or anything, it has to hold the construction, not to destroy the material itself. And that is my challenge. So I get the material, like the pine cone, and I look at it. How can I minimalize my construction so it will be an interesting piece? So you see the material itself. At the same time, you can wear it. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we are at the point to close this very kind event.
Yeah.
Thanks a lot for the lecture. Thank you all for coming, and we hope to see you soon again. Have a nice evening.
I hope.
Bye.
Thank you very much.